That's your Photoshop CS6. Oops. Don't have to maximize. Where it stays. Okay. Enough. Yeah. Done. So, just like Dreamweaver, Photoshop is also a product of Adobe. So panels, the concept of panels on the sides is going to be the same, right? You've got your file menu at the top, standard file, edit, image, layer. We'll talk about all those menus in a minute. But these are your panels, the way you had panels in Dreamweaver, which you can hide and bring them back. Yeah. Now, when you open a file, so if I say file open, I can pick up any image. So many ways of bringing the image in here. I can open any file if you know which image you want to bring in, right? Or I can have a folder open. Like, let's say if I have any folder open from here and yeah, what I have to do is just drag that image in Photoshop. You can drag an image into the Photoshop software as well, or you can go file, open, right? Photoshop also have tabbed windows, just like Dreamweaver. You can open, that means you can open multiple images at the same time. I can close. So why can't it, I know, why can't it close right now? I'm pressing on that close button. It is not. It's not that. It's like some tool is active right now. Right? Can you see these arrows here? The tool is active. Now, as far as the tool is active, can you see something else which is coming up which wasn't there before? There's this little toolbar here which is saying whether you have to accept this change or you want to cancel. You know that circle and a hash, you don't want it. Now, if I say cancel, I don't want that. Only then, if once I've accepted what I want to do with it, let me close the file. It's like you're in middle of something, you just can't close your file in the middle of something. So if I'm going to close this, now I can close that file. Do you understand? So sometimes this will happen that you were doing something and suddenly you think, I don't want to do anything, but you're stuck, what should I do? So all I've just said is you could drag a file into your Photoshop from wherever you want, or you can file open. Is that right? Yeah. Now once I have a file, what is the size of this file? Both? Both. So if I say pixels and memory, it will show you both, right? Now I went to image and I went to image size, right? It shows me here the size of the image, width, height, and on top it's saying how many kilobytes is that file. Yeah. Now here I can change the file size into centimeters, inches, whatever you like, but obviously our favorite or our preferred dimension or measurement is pixels. Does anybody know what this square bracket means? Proportion. That means if I change height, width will change automatically. If I change width, the height will change automatically. They are related. They are locked. Now I can get rid of this by clicking here. That means now if I change width, it will not change height automatically. You will have to put in the measurement yourself. Is that okay? So I can bring that lock back if I want, or I can take it off. Is that okay? So constraint proportions. Constraint is lock, right? Constraint is that you're locking it. Proportions is height and width connected. So what you're saying is if you keep it like that, then the height and width work proportionality to each other, otherwise they won't. You will have to specify the size yourself. And what is the downside of not using constraint proportions? I said downside. The positive side is that you can change the size of the image according to you, whatever you want. But the downside is that what's the disadvantage of doing that? You might distort your image while doing so. If you're not sure of what, you might elongate, or you can skew or stretch your image basically. Yeah. So now if I remove this, or if I don't, now can I change the size of an image? I can drop the size of this image too. Yeah, I've just gone there and I've changed the size of the image, right? And I've done width, height is done automatically. Is that right? So if I just click on OK, has the size changed? Yeah. So if I click on OK, that's the size. What am I seeing? Do you know view? How many percentage of something are you looking at? Zoom in, zoom out. Now, what percentage of this image am I looking at? I'm looking at 100. It tells you that. So when you are looking, when you've opened an image, if the image is too big, it will actually show you what percentage are you viewing, right? So if I want to see it bigger, I can press control and plus. Control and plus. It's a shortcut. Now it is at 400%. So you can zoom, yeah, to work on it better. Just sometimes to know that what is the actual size. Sometimes people don't know what's the actual size of the image they're working with. Have gone back to 100, right? Now I need to save this image. Is that right? Yeah. What formats do you use or you save your images in? No, what format? What format do we save? JPEG. Where is it writing? It's already collaborated, but it's just not wanting to write where I want to write. Okay. Doesn't want to drop to all over the place. Okay, I can go back. I'll drop that in a minute. You have JPEG. You have PNG. And you have GIF, right? GIF. Now, other than that, do I have any format? PSD. What is PSD? Photoshop's file, if you're working in Photoshop and you want to keep the original making of your file, at the moment we are not making any file. I opened a JPEG file and I'm making changes to it. So there's no concept of a PSD file at the moment, right? But if you create something from scratch, you probably would have a PSD file, which you'll have to keep if you want to edit anything. So that's a Photoshop's file, right? But to make it for the image to be available on net or any other, you have to make it go in either, right? And obviously now, yeah. And if these are web formats, is that right? PDF is still not considered as a web format because PDF can be linked, can be shown by a web browser, but only when it's clicked. It can't be rendered on the page itself if you say that's the PDF, right? But PDF is still acceptable if you want to put it on internet, which you don't want images to be changed by anybody. You can still put them in different files can be put down as PDF files. Yeah, PDF files can also be opened in Photoshop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. JPEG, GIF. You can still modify it, but it depends what you want to modify, right? You can still modify, but it depends what you want to modify. But very slight options will be available for modifying, right? Um, Other than this, is there any other format which I would probably need? BMP, not needed usually, but still. BMP is a file format. BMP is a default format of which program? Paint. Okay. TIFF. If you are making company's logo or a banner, which is obviously going to be needed on the web, but it's also going to go for printing, you might have to save files as TIFF and EPS to be sent for printing, for any sort of a printing, even visiting card. If you send somebody that I want these many cards printed, some people are okay with JPEG, some people are okay with PDF, but some will specially come back to you and say, I want an EPS file to be saved in EPS format and brought back. Yeah. High resolution files, printing is easier. Yeah. So we'll come back to more of file formats and all that. But these are your basic knowledge which you would need, that this is what is required. Yeah. Now when I have this image, now I am going to go to save. But you will see when you go to file and save, there are so many options. It says save, save as. I think you understand the difference between save and save as, right? So if I go as save and save as, save, I'll overwrite the original file. Is that right? I've changed the size of the image. So if I save, I'll change the original image. If I do a save as, still the file format is JPEG. It's not coming as PSD because I never started a file from Photoshop. I picked up a JPEG file, I rechanged the size. It's just telling me to save it in a similar format, right? Now, if I save this file, should I just save it? I'm going to save it onto K and to show you the size. Web 14, 29, 27. So I'm just going to save this here. Yeah, and I'm going to click on OK. So what's your folder? Can you see the file size? 18K, 18 kilobytes, right? Okay. I go back to my Photoshop. People who can't read it from there need to get their eyes checked. I'm not joking, even I can't read. I mean, I can't probably I can't see this board if I'm even at Carlota's desk without my glasses. When you need your, and I have my glasses, they would be somewhere on my desk, but I keep forgetting them. No, I have and I wear them, but I leave on people's desks, so I have to keep looking for it. Okay, now here, I'm going to go for another option. Although I've already saved it, isn't it? I'm still going for another option. It says specifically here, save for web. So there has to be a difference, isn't it? There is a save and there is save for web. Now that's what is important for you. You have to go file, save for web, and let's see what does it show us. It says here optimized. I know it's probably very difficult to read from there what it says here, but it says there's original and it is showing me 46.3K, 46, right? And if I say optimized, it shows me 1.4K. 1.4, so that's 1 kilobyte, right? And it obviously tells you how many seconds. 1 second on 56.6 kbps broadband speed, basically. So if you had an old broadband which was on that speed, you would saying it will take 1 second, and if you look at 1 megabit per second. Now, I mean, current broadband speeds, which is 2 MB or 4 MB or 1 meg, you can imagine it will probably take split of a second for that image to come up. But this is only one image which you're going to use on your web, isn't it? A web page consists probably 15 or 20 of these images there. So how much time does your page takes to load is important. So that's why it's important to save all your images which you're going to use on your web after optimizing them. Is that okay? So now here it also has an option to say to up, which means it shows you the original and the optimized. Yeah, so it's the same thing, but you can see both. You will see that you will not be able to see much difference when you are saving for web unless there is a very sharp image. Your eye will not be able to see the difference in the two images. So the quality wise, you will not be able to make that difference. What I'm saying is, sorry, it won't be the same. You're not seeing, you know that. Paul, you know it, you're not seeing it. If somebody else in the class tells me that they can see the color difference, I can assure they can't see the color difference. You know that's why you're saying it. Is slightly different, but what I'm saying is now you've taken too much time to look at it, right? Now this is what I'm trying to say. When you are on a web, you won't have that much time to focus. People don't have that much time to focus on that image, isn't it? It's for the imagery is for creating that effect, and that effect gets created in 3 seconds, and you are out of that page in the first place, isn't it? It depends what somebody is doing on that image. If I am having a portfolio website where images would be bigger, you obviously would have a bigger, higher size than that. It depends on what page are we at, what kind of an image do I want. But what I'm trying to say is that usually from a common eye, you cannot see that difference instantly. You just don't see that. It just goes as a normal image. You can in fact change the size or the quality. Can you see here it says medium? It says JPEG and it says medium. You can keep it high. It will obviously be better than the previous one, but the size is slightly gone up. From 1, it's gone to 2.21. Right? So you can deteriorate it up. Obviously, it will depend on the kind of an image you have, that how much can you bring it down, and whether we need to bring it down or we don't need to bring it down. Yeah? Once you've done that, you do a save, and now should I overwrite the original one? Up to you, right? You could, but what we usually say is we create separate folders to keep these files. Is that okay? Now what we've done is we've done two things. We've resized the image in terms of width and height. Is that right? That was my choice, that I wanted to make my image small because the image was big. But it doesn't have to be that you're doing both the things at the same time. Does that make sense? It is up to you. How do you want your images to be? So I can resize my images in terms of height and width. I can also resize and save my images for web. So these are two different things which you could do to see how you want your images on the web, right? Now, do I need to save? Let's say if I have one image on my web, which I need as this size, and then I need it for this size, and then I need it for this size. Or I need a thumbnail. This could be a thumbnail, this could be on a slightly detailed page, and this could be on a detailed page, like a product, right? If you have a products page, you see a thumbnail, you just see so many thumbnails, and then you probably click on, size becomes a little bigger because you have a bit more detail there, and then you click on that specific product, you go on a page where it's only that product, so the picture goes bigger. So there are 3 different sizes in which the image needs to be shown on your page. Would you need to resize your image into all these three sizes? Should you? Should you not? What do you think? Sorry? You need to save that as three different files, right? Only if they are on three different pages. If they are on one page only, then you don't need to. Then you just keep the highest one. That's it. Do you understand? If I need that image on three different pages, there's one product, one image, and I want it in three different sizes on three different pages, right? Then you have that image three times in three different sizes for your website, right? But if it is on the same page you want it, then you don't do these two, because then you're just additionally creating two more files. If it's downloaded once, it can be shown in three different. You can use a class, isn't it? A style to, to show it smaller. So if it's the same image which is on the same page but to be shown in two different sizes, then you keep the higher one and never make the smaller one. Does that make sense? Does it explain you why? Because I don't want that image to be downloaded twice. That image is going to get downloaded. It should get downloaded once, seen twice in different sizes. Is that okay? Have you understood? Yeah? All of you? Yeah? So what this is an important aspect, and it takes time to do it. And when you are making and committing for a website to be done on by so and so date, you have to keep time for this as well. You know, it's just not that you can take the images from the camera, plug in, and they're going to go on the web. It's going to take you time doing this, to resizing your images. Some people build in cost, in the whole website building cost. Some people, but then time has to be built in, whether you build in the cost or not, but the time is important factor which needs to be built in. And how you're going to save. So the file organization skills, like where you're going to make your folders and save all the files in the right places, is very essential for this. Because you can't overwrite your original files. Once changed, they will not be, you will not be able to get them back in a bigger size. Yeah? So you always have to keep your original image. Is that okay? Is that clear? Yeah? Okay. This is one step which is save. Was that difficult? Do you think it is very difficult? No. Okay. Now on this picture, I'm just making it bigger. Sorry? It's here. Oh, it's gone. The toolbar, isn't it? I can see it on my. That's your toolbar in Photoshop. Big toolbar, and again, it can be seen as a single or a double toolbar. Now, but I don't think so. You can see a black around it, isn't it? You can't see a black around this. But can you see it on my screen? That's a workspace in Photoshop, but this picture has got a black background, right? But let me open a picture which probably will show you that clearly on the screen. Let's pick up task 2. Let's say this is the image, right? Now can you see this is white, right? I have a lot of space which I don't need out around the plane. I want exact image size. Now first I can go and say image size. I can check what is the image size. Well, it actually shows in here anyways. So that's your image size. Yeah. If I reduce the image size, it reduces the image size, isn't it? It doesn't take this white spaces off. It does it? Yeah. What I want to do is make my image smaller, but not as in small. I just want to focus on a specific thing in that image. Does that make sense? Yeah. Oh, so the cursor keeps running. Now here, the first tool here is called as selection tool, right? That means I can select whatever I like. Yeah. And do you know what's the sign for crop? Do you know what is cropping? Cut it from the, you can cut the part of the image, right? So can you see a crop symbol here? That one? Yeah, you're right. So if I click on this one, I can choose how much do I want. And all I have to do is just press enter, right? Now the reason why we are doing that is it's not necessary that I have white spaces and I want to get rid of it. It just depends that there could be, I have an image where, I'm just taking an example, don't get offended. Like let's say I click the photograph right now and I have 4 people in that photograph and I only want 3. That picture is really long. Now one way is that I resize the image to completely bring it down, or the choice is that I leave some part of that image and make it small depending on what is the need of your website. Because when you actually click photographs, there is a background as well, and you would have seen that people sometimes zoom faces and take the photographs, sometimes they don't. But then if you want to use that website on the website, you only want to focus on a specific face and the rest you want to take it off. All you have to do is just crop that image what you want in that section and then resize. First take what you want and then go for resizing, because I've seen that usually when you click a photograph from camera these days, digital cameras, what's the size of the image? That's size, as in file size. What's the pixel size? It's around 2000 width and height. It's a huge file, and because it's a huge file, when people open it here, they straight away go to image resize. And they resize their image, right? They bring it down to 1000 or they'll bring it down to 500. Now when you've already scaled down the image, now you want to focus on a part of the image and try to see, it is not going to be done. Because if you once resize and you think I'm going to be able to stretch it later on, it doesn't work. You focus on what you want in that image first. But anyways, people have done this. They do not create a copy of the folder of the images. That's the biggest mistake which happens. I have overwritten my file. I just clicked on save. So always make a copy. Even if when the client gives you the file images, please make a copy before you start working with that images. Yeah. So you can crop. So that's one part which you need to know, that you have to crop. You might need to crop your images. Now cropping can be done to focus on part of an image, or it can be done to take white spaces out of the images. Is that okay? Yeah. I can even expand this image by, I can expand this image. I can add more to this image by changing the canvas size. Now there's a difference in an image size and there's something called as canvas size, right? Canvas image size is this image, but canvas is on which this is placed, right? So what you could do is, if you want to add more things to that, you can get a workspace which is bigger, and then you can add different things on that place to make it whatever you want to make of that image. So I can actually go and say canvas size. At the moment it will show me the canvas size and the image size same, because it's same, right? But you can change the canvas size. Should I do it to show you what will happen? So canvas size, it's measuring that in centimeters. You can always change that. If I bring that to pixels, yeah, that's the size of the image at the moment. Yeah. Now, which size where do I want to change the canvas? Uh, and what should be the size? What should I give? I've done is I've increased the width of my, is that right? So that if I want to put something here, whatever I want to bring in, I can actually bring in. That means you're changing your image size. But canvas is a place. It's like you're using this image as a sticker, or you're creating now your image and this is going to work as a sticker on that. Does that make sense? So you're going to create your own image, which you could do that if you want. Is that okay? Right? I'm going to stop and I'm going to let you resize. That's your task 1. We've done task 1. I want you to look at your task 1 in your, and I want you to resize those images. Let's see whether you can resize or not. Pass this on. I want you to only focus on task 1. Yeah? It just says task 1, task 2 and task 3, but just focus on task 1 only at the moment.